Who doesn't love zombies? Whether the semi-intelligent, rotting, walking carcasses of the Walking Dead, or the fast-moving, brainless bodies of World War Z. How about the reanimated inferiuses of, or inferii, I guess, of Harry Potter, or the cuteness and inherent humanness of iZombie. Hate them or love them, we can't seem to get enough of zombies. Then there are the other monsters, such as vampires, werewolves, not to mention Monty Python's Killer Rabbit. It's a good thing that all of these things are fantasy, only fairy tale. Except maybe that Killer Rabbit. Fun to watch? Yes. Horrifying? Yes. But they're just stories. There may not be zombies or other monsters in our world, but there are all kinds of large-scale emergencies that when we as hams involve ourselves, we become invaluable. In this video, we'll look at how hams can get involved with providing reports during weather emergencies, coordinating communications during the aftermath of storms, fires, and even volcanic eruptions, and in times of civil unrest. Let's talk about SkyWarn. SkyWarn is a National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, effort to train skywatchers in how to recognize different weather patterns and how to report them to the federal government. While they will train anyone, they specifically reach out to hams. The National Weather Service even has an official Memorandum of Understanding with the ARRL. Now, this establishes a working partnership between the government and ham radio SkyWarn spotters. Why is the government so interested in hams? During heavy storms, cell phones, internet services, and landline communications can and probably will be disrupted by lightning strikes, heavy winds, down towers, offline power systems. Thunderstorms, tornadoes, and lightning cause hundreds of injuries and deaths and billions of dollars in property and crop damage. There are over 350,000 trained SkyWarn spotters, a large part of them being hams. NOAA offers free training. It will take you about 2 hours. And to get involved, you can contact your club's emergency coordinator for information on the classes. Or you can go to the SkyWarn link in the description for information on local classes. They also offer more advanced classes, again, at no fee, for things like being a net control officer during weather events and advanced storm spotting. During Hurricane Irene in August of 2011 in Maryland, our local ham club was used extensively. 2 hams manned our county's emergency operations center, which shared its location with our local 911 dispatch center. Teams of hams were dispatched to fire and emergency medical services locations in the more remote parts of our county. I was in my basement shack, located about a half-mile from the County Emergency Operations Center, acting as a backup location for them and a relay location, and monitoring multiple repeaters around the area for any other reports. I was also using PSK on 40 meters to maintain contact with the National Hurricane Center, or NHC, in Florida. We had multiple tornadoes that had spun out Irene, trees down all over the county, low areas flooded, roads closed, and non-operating cell phone towers. All of this I reported to the NHC. Another way that you can get involved is with the Amateur Radio Emergency Service, or ARES. Hams belonging to ARES have been responding to local and regional disasters since the 1930s. The most notable recent ones is the 9/11 attacks and Hurricane Katrina. In the aftermath of Katrina, more than 1,000 ARES volunteers provided communications for the Red Cross and Salvation Army. In Hancock County, Mississippi, all contact with the outside world was lost, except for Aries operators who served as 911 dispatchers and relayed emergency messages. The actual number of events that have been supported by Aries, probably innumerable, but you can say with certainty, for every disaster, man-made or natural, Aries has responded. Now, there's a more official support organization, and that's the Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Service, or RACES. RACES is the only such organization mentioned in the FCC Part 97 regulations. Specifically, Part 97.407 defines who can transmit during a RACES event. It defines organizational requirements to be registered with RACES, and it even says who RACES operators may communicate with. It speaks of the types of messages that can be exchanged and provides for training drills and tests. Now, you can read it for yourself at the link in the description. Historically, RACES came about when America entered the Second World War. During this time, the President issued a directive that ham radio operations would be suspended until the war ended. In place of hams, the government created the War Emergency Radio Service in a process that took about 6 months and proved to be a poor replacement for amateurs. RACES was developed in 1952 by the ARRL and the Army Office of Civil Defense as a standby to replace conventional amateur radios during wartime. Hams may enroll and receive RACES credentials in order to provide emergency communications supporting the state, county, local emergency management agencies. Now, a tragic example is Jerry Martin, W6TQF. He was a volunteer radio operator, ham radio operator, who was monitoring Mount St. Helens for the U.S. Geological Survey Office as part of RACES support. The day before the eruption, he drove his motorhome onto a ridge a couple of miles north and slightly higher than the geologist's observation post, which he was able to look down on. When the mountain erupted, he reported to the other ham operators monitoring the volcano, "Gentlemen, the camper and car that's sitting to the south of me is covered. It's going to hit me too." They never found him or his motorhome. A link to a recording of his final moments is in the video description. Thankfully, his story is, while tragic, very unusual for RACES service. To summarize, SkyWarn watches for impending weather troubles and communicates with trained ham operators. Aries provides communication support for government and non-governmental organizations in the aftermath of man-made and natural disasters with trained ham operators. And RACES provides communication support during civil emergencies with trained ham operators. The common bond between these services is the willingness of hams to volunteer to provide communications and to go through the necessary training. Now, if you're a ham and haven't had the training for any of these and you happen to hear communications happening, please don't interfere with the trained operators, even if you think you're helping. Instead, resolve to get the needed training so you can be involved with the next time these services are needed. That's all for this video, folks. I hope you've learned something and aren't too disappointed that it didn't have more zombies or killer rabbits. If you found this informative or just enjoyed the presentation, please give me a like. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified when I post new videos, please ring that bell. As always, thanks for dropping by my shack for a chat and for checking this channel out. 7-3 for now. I'm Elmer Tom. ND3N out.